Hi, I'm Jeremiah. Welcome to Up at Night. This podcast is all about learning from thought leaders, academics, and professionals based on one fundamental question. What keeps you up at night? Welcome to Up at Night. I'm thrilled to be joined by Jimmy Abraham today. Jimmy is the Chief Operating Officer at Applauz Recognition. He has over 20 years of experience in tech, business, spanning across various industries such as IT, digital signage, advertising. He was big in trade shows, solar, and even clean energy. So crazy amount of experience. And Jimmy, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I want to jump right into it to ask you, what brought you to become the CEO at Applauz? Because last time, you were exiting a company that was in signage, if I recall.
Solar was the last one. Yes. So it's absolutely super happy, super excited to be here, Jeremiah. So excited that we can have this chat. So what brought me to CEO at Applauz? Applauz is all about making work a happier place. It's a company that does employee recognition, helps engagement through recognition and rewards. And I've known about the company for a few years. I have a friend that works there. I got introduced to the CEO almost 6 months before I joined. So we had a long going conversation about it. And when the time was right, I said, let's do this. I joined about 2 years ago. Company has been on a huge growth spurt since. That was the point. That's why I joined, to help them grow. So I love being in a position to help companies grow by helping their people grow. And at Applauz, I get to do it for my team and for companies all over the world. So it's a really win-win way of doing business now.
Post-pandemic, we've had a lot of adaptation at CEOs, and adaptation associated with, managing hybrid, managing remote. I think one of the biggest challenges today is probably how do we deal with this work environment? Yeah. Retention is a big problem because it's really hard to anchor these values when you're not, physically there. So why do you think these issues are so critical today, and especially with the rise of these models?
Yeah, it's, I think what we saw pre-pandemic was the very classic, hate to go to work on Monday, super happy, excited it's Friday. And we saw that just everywhere. Yeah. Pandemic hit, everybody started working from home. There was a brand new paradigm created where I get to have a life and work. And then now we're trying to shift back, and some people don't want to let go. Some people are in this, I had a work-life balance. I want to keep that, and they don't know how. So I think what we see today is the hybrid model. Some people stay full remote. Applauz, we're full remote. We have clients that are full in person and others that are hybrid. And it's you get a lot of younger generation that don't completely understand the same work ethic that older generation is running with. And all of these conflicts is what we're managing today. So, what do we see today is how do we overcome the generation gap, the work-life balance, today people want to get thanked for coming to work. Yeah. When we started, it was, why am I going to thank you? I'm paying you for this. So a very, very different style of employee. And I think this is where, companies like Applauz, there's others out there, understanding how to recognize people, understanding how they bring value, understanding how to bring that forward is critical to make sure that people stay connected. Retaining top talents, that's, the people stay for pay and for their coworkers and their boss, or they leave for the same reason. So it's, you got to keep people connected.
It's crazy when you start looking and digging a little bit deeper about how good people manager impact an organization. And like you said, CEOs, they have to adapt. I have to adapt. each generation is drastically different in terms of their priorities. So if there's a CEO listening now or an entrepreneur, what would be a couple of quick tips you would suggest them to focus on to improve retention in their organization?
Quick tips to improve retention. Understand how to properly recognize the person beyond the thank you.
Sure.
It's really easy to say thanks, but if I said, "Hey, thanks, Jeremiah, for organizing this podcast. This information is critical for the future of what we're doing." It's a lot more pertinent. So understand how to properly recognize your employees, the value they're bringing, is going to be key in them feeling that value and sticking around.
I can imagine that. And I would be really curious to see, there's probably some stats supporting that. I think I'm going to dig a little bit about that. And I would invite the audience to look into it too, because that affects directly motivation, and motivation affects productivity. So I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you had tremendous background. You've been involved in so many startups. Some had tremendous win. Some, unfortunately, had yes. What is the most single important lesson you've learned throughout all these years from failure and from success, and what shaped you to be the leader you're today?
I think the most important lesson I've ever learned is I can't do it alone. It's, if you've ever heard the saying, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. It's so true. Finding the right people to surround yourself with, and making sure that you understand that it's success is a team effort. It's not a single effort. I think that's what got me out of my business slumps was finally understanding that, had to hire people and you had to grow. It's not all you. So that's, I'd say, the number one thing. If you're a small, entrepreneur looking to get started, look at how you can start surrounding yourself with the right people to get you where you want to go. I think that's probably one of the key things. We're talking very small business. On, a larger scale, become process driven, not people driven, right? So as much as it's important to be surrounded by the right people, you can't let yourself get caught up by only a person can do a job. Become process driven. You build the systems that support your company. Then you have the people that you can trust to run those systems. And that would be the way forward.
I would like to dig a bit deeper about that specifically, because you've went through it, and any successful entrepreneur will have to go through that. And that's the specific moment when you're working inside your business to the moment when you have to start working on your business, aka building process, building that machine that's going to get operated by other people. What's your thought on this? And what would be a couple of suggestions you have as to when is the right timing to start thinking about that, etc.?
The right time to start thinking about that is immediately. Always immediately, at any point you're at. You need to have a process. The challenge is, small company. You're the sole dude. You're doing it all. You're selling. You're sourcing. You're doing accounting. You're doing it all. All of a sudden, you get a salesperson. This salesperson is a star, and he is just bringing in great business. What happens if he leaves? Right? So the key there is understanding how to duplicate yourself, how to duplicate what they're doing. You find really good people, and you're asking all the questions on how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and you start building it so that they can train someone else to do it. It's all about being duplicatable. The key is essentially trying to clone yourself, but clone yourself into the little pieces of what you do. You have a salesperson, you have an accountant, you have a production engineer, you got all the different components of your business. And then each one of those you can clone. And then it's not about getting a mindless person to do it. It's about getting someone that is trustworthy to take that and run with it. So get those two pieces together to be process driven more than people driven, so that if people come and go. It's unfortunate, but that's just how the business goes. For whatever reason, sometimes good, sometimes bad, you can't count on the same person being there forever, but you can count on that document or that process that you've put together to stick around.
Agreed. And very important. If anybody listen to this, start thinking about it right now.
Right
I
now.
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It's always managing urgency versus managing what's important.
Yeah.
This is important. Don't neglect
Absolutely.
that. Agreed.
You've seen the four quadrants of urgent, important, urgent, not urgent, not important. That's if you don't know that, like, or anyone listening, go look it up. Super key to understanding where your time should be. You have to focus 60% of your effort on what's important. If you don't, you're just not going to move forward.
Yeah. No, you're going to be in the emergency for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
That's and that's not a nice side to be on in entrepreneurship.
No.
Everybody have people who inspire them. In your case, you shared with us that Zig Ziglar, which is a very popular author, wrote something, a quote in particular you mentioned, I think, was, "You can have everything in life you want if you help enough other people to get what they want." I love this quote, by the way. But tell us a little bit more about it. How
Sure.
come did this quote in particular resonated that much with you?
The quote originates from one of his early books about sales. So Zig Ziglar got his beginnings selling photocopiers. That's where he got his early beginnings. And the idea behind that quote is, you can have everything in life you want. You just help enough other people get what they want. Essentially, you're selling. As more you sell, the more you can have. But I took that way deeper. It's not just about sales. It's about it's about life in general. Little anecdote: my first business, I call it a business. When I was 18, Advertech marketing. We thought we were going to revolutionize advertising. My partner and I, when we sold just enough, paid our own flight down to Texas to go to the Zig Ziglar School of Sales in person, meet Zig Ziglar. We're both huge fans of him, and it was I would say, a phenomenal, life-changing experience, understanding from him directly. And I've read pretty much everything that he's put out there. I model myself. I would love to, I'll call him a mentor, but more an inspiration, because I don't have that much one-on-one time with him, but he's driven a lot of the decisions I've made, how he, deals with family, how he deals with business. And this quote is my driving factor of how I build business and how I, build my relationships all around me.
And I think it's important to, because again, that ties directly with how rooted your values are, and that's also probably why you chose Applauz, right? Because that's
It's
really
absolutely. It's Applauz is one of the few places that I get to practice my passion for helping companies grow by helping their people grow, not only in my company but in other companies elsewhere as well. So it's really quite a phenomenal place to be.
it's so rewarding to help people grow, but sometimes we have that leadership and manager hat to put on, and that comes with some tough decisions. Can you share with us a bit some maybe tough decision you had to make and how you went through it and how you emotionally and professionally deal with that?
The list is long. I'm showing my age here. One of the companies I was at in the past, we started it back in 2002, Broad Sign. Grew that, we were 5 people that started it. It's actually a wonderful success story because there's people that I hired back then that are still there today, and the company is doing well and growing. I left in about 2010, but in 2008, it was 2008, if you remember, with financial crisis. Like, it was a very tough year. We had to let go half the staff. It was that, or that was it. That was the end. I don't think anyone listening if you were there back then, you'll know it was tough. But you always have to put, what the priority is. And as much as we love, like you said, helping people grow, the priority has to be the business if you want the business to survive. So you got to make the tough calls around making sure that the business is going to survive. The last thing you want to do is let people go. It's always the absolute last thing. When you get there, you got to do it. You got to do it. And, some people hold a grudge, other people understand, but you're always acting in the best interest of the company. You have to. It's your company or your fiduciary duty to the company. So you always got to act in the best interest of the company. And sometimes that involves really difficult things to do. I've had to, fire friends. It's not fun, but eventually, if you give people all the chances in the world and it's not working out, you got to make the decision. You make the decision quick, and then it's done. So you got to put the company's growth, company's well-being first, never at the expense of a person. You got to. This is the job of a people leader, is understanding the difference between the business needs and the personal needs of people, and that's so you're never gonna hurt someone. You're never going to do anything malicious, never anything crooked. Always act with integrity. Put the business. It's your business. You got to put your business first. You put your business first, and most of the time, everything falls in line with that. Sometimes things happen that are outside of our control or inside of our control, and we just have to react to it properly. Black swan events can happen. Look at COVID. Companies went completely under. The ones that survived it, the ones that were able to build that resilience in understanding what they needed to do, they cut staff, they cut back on expenses, and they buckled down. And today they're that much stronger for it, right?
Yeah.
So the tough times do make us stronger. It's an old saying, but it's true. So doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. Goes for business as well, right? If you haven't gone bankrupt, it's going to make you better. So
I agree with that, and even sometimes I think it's very hard for founders and CEO to accept that their time is to probably move to president's position or the board position and actually put someone at the executive level, as a CEO, acting CEO or acting CEO, that can bring their business to the next level. And it's hard to accept that sometimes the company outgrow yourself or outgrow certain people in the organization, but thinking of it as a moral person and putting that person first is critical.
I've often shared this with people. I adore the COO position today because I get to help really enthusiastic and younger entrepreneurs to become as big as they possibly can. And I'll often say the CEO and the COO stand back to back. The CEO looking in the company, the CEO looking out, and it's a combination that works really well to get people to get to the next level. Most, if not all, successful entrepreneurs that I've met, they're very good at growth ideas. They have a strong growth mindset. And when they're caught doing the day-to-day minutia, that is hindering that growth mindset. So it's important to give them the freedom they need to figure out what that next big thing is going to be that brings the company to a whole new level.
Yeah. And it all boils down, like you said, to have the right people next to you. Some people are amazing creative minds, but they need strong execution next to it because they just can't. So surround yourself with the right people. Now, as a leader in your current position, what does stress you? What keeps you up at night? And do you still have doubt amongst that 20 years of experience, multiple exit and all that? And what influenced your decision-making today?
I'd say right now, what keeps me up at night, growing company, are what are the blind spots? What is going to prevent us from growing at the speed and ambition that we have? What are we missing? Is it what process isn't covered, what person is not covering, what is it that what have we missed that is going to prevent us from hitting these incredibly ambitious goals that we set for ourselves. It's that's that's where we're at today. I can say in the past, not here, not at Applause, but in other companies, like, are we making payroll? That's a stress. That one's a big
Yeah.
one. Like that,
Yeah.
where you're juggling paying a vendor or paying your people, hoping to see that check come in. Like, we've been there. So I'd say cash flow used to be, today in a growing business, cash flow is healthy. It's what are we missing to hit the really ambitious goals? And sometimes it's something that your people need certain experiences to understand how to react in that growth that's coming. And these are the kinds of things. So today, this is really what it does. What keeps me up is, what are we missing to hit the really big goals that we have, and how do we cover for that? How do you figure out what you don't know? I'm a very big proponent of there's always a solution. We just don't know what it is yet, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say that's now this is really the thing that would keep me up at night. And by the way, the irony is not lost on me that your podcast is called Keeping Up at Night and you run Polysleep, a mattress company. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Just I had to say that. So yeah, I'd say sorry, back on track. This is what right now would keep me up at night.
And I think there's multiple things throughout the month or the years that as entrepreneurs or executive keeps us at night. And like you said, to keep that mind open, to stay aware of what could happen that we haven't been prepared for is a key difference between a company that's going to succeed versus another. Now, you have that 20 years of experience. You've seen so much.
You keep saying that. I mean, I'm seeing the
You're still
gray.
young.
I'm like, geez, man.
But we know you started at 14. That's why, Jimmy. Now, if there's an entrepreneur at this point right now watching us and being like, I am so stressed to do this move. What should I do? What would be the single biggest advice, because you've jumped ship multiple times, as to how do you define the right timing? Because to me, one thing that impressed me about you is, for some reason, you've always managed to time yourself pretty well. What would you say to that person?
This is a good one. This is fantastic. The to address your point, I think opportunity happens because we're prepared and listening, right? That's opportunities happen because we're not closed to any new potential, exciting product, project, pivot. Pick one.
Stay open-minded.
All those things are possible, but you're prepared. You've done the research. You have the knowledge that you need. So an entrepreneur if you're talking about taking the plunge, as in like going full force into opening the business or jumping in, you're never going to be 100%, right? It's the whole idea of you've probably heard this analogy in the past. You can't wait for all the lights to be green down the street before you start, right? You go one step at a time. So it's never going to be 100%, but be confident and comfortable with your 50%, with your 60%. Like, I know enough to get going. I have confidence enough to figure it out as I go. Here's another anecdote for you. I'm full of these. The bird doesn't trust the branch that it won't break when it lands on it. It trusts its wings that it can carry itself if the branch breaks. So you gotta trust yourself enough that when you hit roadblocks, when you hit those things, you'll get through them. So I'd say, don't start blind, but don't wait for everything to be perfect. And get give it a try, get going, and start looking for the people and the processes you need to make it successful.
I love that. I think that's a great advice. Jimmy, thank you so much for being with me on the pod today. It was really a great conversation. Now, if people want to learn more about Applauz, I would invite them to go check applause.me, right?
Yep. Yeah. Spelled
Also, I think you're pretty active on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But Applauz is also spelled with a Z, not S-E.
Good point.
And yes, you can easily find me on LinkedIn, Jimmy Abraham. I have, you're going to see a bunch of stuff coming out soon. I don't know if I can plug this or not, but I will.
Absolutely.
I'm in the process of writing a book, Building a Resilient Life. And you know, it's all about these discussions. So I'm excited that we're having this conversation. So yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jimmy Abraham, Applauz, APPLAUZ.me.
That's fantastic. And as for the book, when it's out, I want a copy.
Yeah.
We're going to go through it, and we're going to get you back on the pod to talk about it.
Okay. That's fantastic. Thanks so much.
All right, Jimmy. So thank you once again, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. It was great. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of the Up at Night family. If you've liked what you heard today, don't forget to rate, follow, subscribe, or leave me a comment below. New episodes of Up at Night drop every week. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single episode. I'm Jeremiah Curvers. Until next time.